not fine, but still I woke up today. Another day they get on my grind. Got me singing, oh, oh, oh. Effort and build for pan ready. Oh, oh, oh. Effort and build for pan ready. I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine, but still I woke up today. Another day they get on my grind. Got me singing, oh, oh, oh. Effort and build for pan ready. Oh, oh, oh. Effort and build for pan ready.
Good evening, Livewire fans, and welcome to another episode of Between the Lines presented to you by Livewire Sports. We are on into season 2. We had our first episode last week with Mr. Cock Thomason. That was a very successful one. Now we have another interesting guest that we have here. We're going to learn her story, learn what's going on with her, and what is her impact that she's making here in our Virgin Islands. Her name is Miss Tajama Ngongba. And now that I got her name correctly, I know she's going to give me a lot of love and give Livewire a lot of love here tonight. Tajama, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And thank you for having me on Livewire. This is a great show, and I appreciate you doing what you're doing to give back to the community.
Thank you very much. Now, with you saying it's a great show, that means you tune in often. That means I got to kind of switch it up on you a little bit when it comes to the game, because you can't be predictable on Between the Lines.
Oh, man. You know, you definitely are a tough one, so I hope just to keep up with you today.
All right, that's good. That's good. I think you can handle yourself very well. It shouldn't be too tough. I think I might be the easiest interview you've ever done in your life.
Okay.
If
okay,
not,
I like that.
I'm going to make it easy for you. Now, let's start off. Let's get straight into the conversation. What are your favorite sports, your sports that you love?
Okay, so even though I'm a basketball coach, I tend to favor sports that I really can't do. So I love gymnastics, especially the floor routine. I like ice skating, and I actually like volleyball as well. So those are my like 3 favorite sports that I enjoy watching, and just not very good at it. But I would still try them even if I look crazy, because I enjoy it. I think they're fun would be fun to do.
Now, gymnastics sounds kind of interesting, but that ice skating thing, I don't know about that. That's a lot of effort and a lot of talent you have to do to be an ice skater, definitely.
Oh, for sure. I envision me doing a lot of falling, which is why I haven't actually tried it. And at 6'2", that's a long way down. So we haven't quite got there yet.
Okay. Now, moving on from the sports that you did not play, what sports did you play while you were growing up?
So growing up in St. Croix, I did mostly volleyball and a little like softball, like nothing serious. But volleyball was a sport that I really, really liked when I was in the Virgin Islands, and didn't really like basketball.
No,
So
that's a
it's kind of funny.
very interesting thing. You're a basketball coach and you did not like basketball much growing up. Now,
No.
how did you begin to like basketball, because you didn't like it at a young age?
Okay, so it started when I got to the States. The school that I was attending didn't have volleyball. And I couldn't understand how they didn't have this, one of the simplest sports. All you need is a net and a ball. Like, how do you not have this sport? But they didn't have it. And so I was 6'2" coming into the high school. So of course the high school basketball coach was salivating. He was like, oh my gosh, please tell me you're going to come out for the team. And I was like, I don't really play. He said, just come out for the team. So I'm the kind of person that also can't say no to anybody. I always want to help people out. So I said, let me at least go show my face, say I made the effort, and then go about my life. And when I went into the gym, the thing that caught my attention with basketball, I'm a little ashamed to say, but there was a lot of cute boys in the gym. So that kind of got my attention early. But then once I started playing and competing and wanted to embarrass the cute boys, I kept practicing and getting better and getting better. So I started just as a favor to a coach.
Okay. Now that's really interesting. That you started so I would say late in your career because a lot of
Yeah.
people when they are really good at their sport, they start at maybe the elementary level. Some of them start at the La Leche level for baseball, like down 3 or 4 years old. So when would you say was your actual start? How old were you?
14 when I started playing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that is kind of late. I think there's pros and cons in my scenario. I think some of the pros of starting earlier is just having more confidence as you get older and being able to hone in on your craft a lot sooner. Whereas for me, I started later, so I felt like I was always playing catch up.
Right.
But that was also a kind of a drive also because I knew I was behind and I had to keep working to get to the level of other people.
Now, would you move into the States? You moved to the States when you started ninth grade, high school, just
So
about?
I did about a month of ninth grade before Hurricane Hugo came and demolished the island in
Uh,
1989. So after that, we moved to the States, and it was supposed to be like 6 months and come right back. And then we found out that it was going to be longer before the island got back on its feet. And by the time we were looking at returning, college coaches had started reaching out. And so my dad was like, cha-ching, I won't have to pay for college. Let me leave
right.
them where they are to hopefully get a scholarship.
So now, was that one of the things that kind of persuaded you away from other sports? Just the fact that you had people interested in you moving on to the next level. You actually kind of saw that you could be successful at that sport.
Yeah, that was part of it. But the other part was I really just started to fall in love with the sport itself. And um, I tried a couple of other sports in high school. I did like a month of track and was like, and did
Hmm.
like, I went out for softball and was like, the sport that I like that really seemed to gravitate to just, my mindset, my abilities was basketball.
Right. Now, would you have had success early in your basketball career at such a young age as 14? What was it like for you playing high school basketball in the States? Because it's a little bit different than how we play down here sometimes.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was tough because I had no, like, I mean, I didn't understand anything about the game, no terminologies, nothing. So when I came out to practice, the coach was literally so frustrated because, I looked the part, I looked like I
Right.
could really do something out there. I know. So he eventually had me go out there. He would tell me things like just stand on the block. And so for those that play basketball, and those that don't play, let me explain. The block is an area close to the basket on the floor. He told me
Right.
just stand on the block. So I would go out there and stand on the block, and people would go around me. And he said, "You got to move your feet, Taj." And I said, "But
Hmm.
you told me to stand on the block." I took this man so literal, and I know it drove him crazy. My first year was so hard getting acclimated to understanding the game.
Hmm.
Um, I would say like from that November until March was really difficult. And then in the summertime, I started to understand some things and kept practicing and whatnot. But it was, oh my gosh, it was tough that first year.
Now, at what point did you? I heard you say that you got some interest from college coaches. When was your first actual look from a college coach? Like, what age were you? What grade were you in when that
I
coach
think
initially took interest in you?
so between my 10th and 11th grade year is when I really started getting a lot of attention. I think after my ninth grade year, I played on a team in the summertime. It was a really good AAU team, and I was one of two freshmen that were on the team. Everyone else was juniors and upperclassmen. So I was learning a lot. I might have literally played like 1 minute a game, like literally 1 minute. And I would still be so nervous to go in for the 1 minute. And because these girls ran so fast, they jump, they can dribble, they shoot. I mean, they
Mhm.
was just doing everything. And at that time, AAU wasn't as watered down. So there was like three teams in Virginia that had all the best players. So these girls were
Ah,
like really, really good, really, really good. And so obviously after that experience, just practicing with those types, that caliber of players, I started to get better in the summer. And so even with just playing that 1 minute, I might have gotten 6 or 7 letters of interest just on that for that
wow.
1 minute. And then between my sophomore and junior year summer, when I went into the fall, then it really started to pick up heavily.
Now, you mentioned AAU. Um, we have some players, some guys and girls who go away to play on AAU teams, as well as let's just call them travel ball teams because if you
Yes,
apply to baseball, it's travel ball as well. How important is it for athletes at that age to play travel ball or AAU basketball around those times?
it's huge because the way that things work, the NCAA has certain viewing periods where college coaches can go out and see these players play in person at different tournaments. So it's a
Right.
great opportunity for players to utilize the NCAA recruiting windows during the summer to get exposure.
I
And
mean,
yeah, and get a chance to for coaches, depending if you go to East Coast tournaments, West Coast tournaments, Midwest tournaments, North, South, there's tournaments all over the country being held simultaneously. And I mean, almost every tournament is going to have some number of coaches there throughout the country. And so to get to the States in the summer to get that exposure is a good idea.
definitely, definitely. Now, sometimes people like to be humble about their accomplishments, but we aren't going to allow that on here tonight. So, who are some of the schools that were looking at you while you were in high school?
So before it's by the end of the day, coming out of high school, I was one of the top 3 centers in the country.
Wow,
So coming out of high school, I had almost every school recruiting me, from the Stanfords to the Dukes to the Vanderbilts
wow,
to the you
wow, wow.
everybody. I had a lot. If the essentially if the coaches was at the event that I was playing at, they were interested in trying to get me to come to their school. So
Amazing.
it was a lot of schools. I chose to narrow my list down to schools like Wake Forest, Penn State, Old Dominion, George Washington. So I actually ended up narrowing my schools down to a lot of what I would call low, high major, mid major, because I wanted to go to a school where I could be well rounded. And
Right.
it's funny because the first thing I did when I got to GW was I joined the Caribbean Student Association. That was like my first thing on campus. Where are the island people? That was the first thing
Right.
I wanted to know. So, but I wanted to have a really good experience, and I didn't know a lot about these schools. It's not like now where you can go online and research a school. It really wasn't like that, and it wasn't like you had your cell phone so you could just pick up the phone and call people. And
Well,
I
this was
was
a
in a
different
house.
time.
Oh, so different. And I was in a household where 2 of my other brothers were being recruited. And we had one phone line and you had call waiting, and that was it. So if a coach was trying to call and my brother had the phone for the next hour and the next brother had the phone for the other hour, I might not get on the phone that night. So you
Wow.
didn't have the time like you have now to really get to know and understand schools. And so I chose to go with schools that were in a geographic that was at least familiar to me.
Now, that's all interesting to me because I definitely wasn't born yet. So I'm amazed on how college was back then. Like, it's interesting when you
Mhm.
see it from a different angle. I never thought about that. You can't really research it as well as you do now because in today's day and age, everything is on the internet, everything
Everything.
is on your phone. So yeah, like it makes sense what you did in that situation because it helped you to have a good surrounding, a good environment to be in while you're going to that school. So that makes a big difference in the ages of time not right about now.
Absolutely. 100%. You hit it on the nail.
Now, with you choosing GW, what was your first year like on campus? Like being at a college institution, you are on the basketball team. It's a different environment than high school. What was it like for you?
So the toughest part of the transition, I would say, is the conditioning and the weights.
Oh
Because in
yeah,
high school we didn't do weights and we didn't do conditioning. We just had practices and then we were kicked out the gym because another team was coming.
right,
So to be in the States where they had strength and conditioning, that was hard. Like, doing all these sprints and all these sprint workouts and then going into the weight room and lifting all these weights. And again, I had this frame that people thought, oh, she has to be so strong. And I'm like, I never lifted. Why would I be so strong? I didn't even do push-ups. Why would I be
right.
so strong? But people just assume, oh, she looks athletic. She must be strong.
Hmm.
No, no, no. I wasn't strong. Mm-mm. And so that was a tough transition. And then it was tough having to balance, like, no one telling me to go to bed. Like, that was like tough, you
Adulting.
know? Yeah. And so I would, maybe stay up too late and then you're tired the next day. Or someone to help me balance, like, DC is nicknamed when I went to school was Chocolate City. So it was like a really hype, great place to go out and dance and enjoy yourself and whatnot. And so, just managing like your social desires with your like business desires. I still got to go to class. I still got to go to practice. I still got to go to conditioning. I still got to go to sprint work.
Right.
And I still had to go to study hall. Like, it was a lot to do. And so my days would start like 8 a.m. and not finish till like 8 p.m. It was just long days. So I think that was a tough part.
Right.
But once the season started, it all started to work itself out, and not to be so, and it wasn't as overwhelming as it was in the beginning.
Definitely. Now, I kind of have to go back a little bit. I skipped over that part, but I just remember you said that you were one of the top 3 centers in the nation. Now, you always want to be the best in everything you do. So I know you remember those 2 young ladies who were in front of you. Who were those 2 young ladies?
Oh, I do remember one named Kara Walters. She went to UConn, but I cannot think of the other person. I'd have to like pull out the article again, but that was one of them. She was a 6'8" white girl from northern, like the northeast area of the United States. So yeah, that was one of the other young ladies. So
Now, getting back into your college career, did you have any accolades, any successful seasons, any history made while you were at GW?
so yes. So in terms of with my team, which was to me is always the most important thing, is your team. And so in terms of with my team, I had a the first year we went to the second round in the NCAA. My second year we went to the Sweet 16, and then my senior year we made it to the Elite Eight, just a few points short of being in the Final Four. And then our team also won like some regular season victories. In my senior year, we went undefeated in regular conference play, 16-0. And then when you look at like just some individual things, I'm still the all-time leading scorer at GW with over 2,000 points.
Wow.
On the list of top rebounders and top shot blockers at the university as well. So it's been, my choice was definitely good for me, and obviously the first player to be drafted to the WNBA from my university. So those were some of the great pieces. And I had a really good coach, Joe McEwen, who's now the head coach at Northwestern, and I had some really good teammates around me as well. So it just made my success and my journey that much easier.
Now, again, we're not going to skip over these really important things that you're mentioning here. We like to give you your flowers while you are here. You were the first person ever drafted from your school into the WNBA. What was being part of that kind of history like for you?
You don't realize it in the moment because you're 21, 22, and all you're thinking about in life is just, I'm graduating from college, what's next? And we heard the rumblings of the WNBA being a possible thing. You heard this rumbling all throughout the school year. And again, not like social media is there where you can Google stuff. I mean, when you hear the rumblings, it's literally a short blurb on the news, or you might see a little tiny article in the newspaper, but you heard these rumblings about it. And it wasn't anything that was super exciting because you hear the rumblings, you hear the lower salaries, you're just trying to finish exams. I mean, your mind is just all over the place and not really locked into what was really happening at that moment. And obviously 25 years has passed, and I can reflect back and go, wow, that was major. That was amazing. And at the time, I'm just like, oh, yay, WNBA, this is so cool. Like you got a new car, like you got a, it was that type of excitement. It was there, but you didn't understand the impact that we were going to have on women's basketball in its entirety. And, obviously WNBA is not just about the United States, the WNBA is an international platform of basketball. So you have
Definitely.
players from all over the world now. And so we just, as a young lady coming out of college, it didn't even cross my mind the magnitude of what was happening at the time. But I did know it was pretty cool.
Now, bringing it back all the way home, it goes bigger than GW for us. Now, you were actually the first ever Virgin Islander to be drafted into the WNBA. You were able to represent your country on a national stage like that. What does it mean to be a Virgin Islander and have a great accomplishment like that?
Oh, it means a lot. People always overlook, underestimate us. And it's so nice when you are able to say, I did exactly what you did from your big country, coming from my little country. So that shows we are equal no matter where. It's not about the size of your country, it's about what you're willing to accomplish in your goals,
Right.
period. And so, for me, it's exciting, and it's exciting to be able to turn around and say to other young ladies, you can do the same thing too. You can be on a big stage and do big things regardless of where you come from, if you just keep grinding and working and use those resources around you.
Now, I know it was a surreal moment in the moment when you got to the WNBA, but what was that experience like to be a professional basketball player in America?
So I'm gonna have to rewind to like all the details, okay?
Oh,
So
that's good. We got
hopefully
time.
we have time for this.
We have
Okay.
time.
So when I first got the call, that was, even before you're drafted, they had given us a call that said, hey, you're going to be drafted to this team at this time. And they were like, so we're flying, like, they flew like about 10 of us to New York City. We get picked up in the airport with a limo. And of course, that's just like amazing. Like if I had a cell phone, selfies would have been all over the place. But again, there's no cell phone. So it's, you just got to record everything in your head. And so we get
Right.
picked up in the limo. We get dropped off at this hotel. We go into the next day, we go into this room. They do our makeup, hair, whatever. I had my little cute dress on. And we were able to go out, and they would say, okay, Taj, you're going to be called. Or it was like, Lisa Leslie, you're going to be called. Or Tammy Reese, you're about to be called. Or Tina Thompson, you're about to be called. And so they would call us. We'd go into this room. They had the camera on. Val Ackerman, who was the president of the WNBA at the time, she would actually hold up our jersey for the team we were going to play for. And then they made the announcement, and you walked out, and it was like, Taj is going to be a center for Sacramento Monarchs, and here's her jersey. And so that was all like surreal, so amazing, unbelievable. And so after that experience finished, they flew us back. And as this is going on, you also have like the different like sneaker industries trying to get, certain players to be, sign with their label. And so at that time, I also had to choose between Reebok and Nike as to see which brand I was going to represent. And so obviously, talked to both companies, ended up when Nike flew me out to Oregon, I ended up signing with them. So it was cool being in the WNBA, being a Nike athlete. And again, all from this little Virgin Islands, doing all these big things, these amazing things. And, for me, any success I have, I always have to thank God, and just how he carves out, different roads that you would never know are going to be taken. Because again, without Hugo, I'm still in the Virgin Islands, and
Definitely.
might have missed an opportunity, because opportunities can happen anywhere. It can happen on a plane. It can happen in a bathroom. It can happen in a classroom. You never know where your opportunity is going to come. But when God has a plan for you, he will make a
Away.
terrible moment like Hurricane Hugo and spin into something to be so positive for myself and my family.
Definitely, definitely. Now I heard you mention Lisa Leslie. You don't run across all this information is nothing, but it's something to us. Now, was this someone that you got to spend some time with, especially around the draft night and those kind of things?
Yeah, so we all kind of hung in the same room waiting for our, call to go do the draft thing. It's a lot different than like the men. With the men got drafted, they have this big room and your families are there and you go up to the stage. It
Right.
wasn't that elaborate just yet for us. So
This
Because
year.
again, it's the inaugural season. Yeah, and they're trying to feel out how things are going to run. And so when we were in there, we were talking. And so I had to share with Lisa Leslie. I said, Lisa, you'll probably never remember this, but I will never forget it. And she's like, what? And I said, we played them in the NCAA when she was playing in college. I was a freshman. She was a senior. And let me tell you, like it was yesterday, I'm on the court, left block. I'm playing defense on her. I got my forearm in her back, okay? I'm like, I got this girl, right? She can't go nowhere. She hit me with this spin move baseline so fast that I was still standing in the same spot when she reversed layup because I'd never seen a move like that or that quick, you know? But I definitely was like, I'm going to add that move to my repertoire because it's nice, you know? But I was telling her, I said, girl, you definitely taught this rookie something with that move because I definitely added it to my repertoire. And she was, of course, like, I don't even remember, Taj. And I'm like, oh, I will never forget. Like, amazing. So we were kind of joking about that and just joking about how we enjoy being divas off the court and whatnot. And so just a lot of little like silly conversations we had. But she's a wonderful person, sweet as can be.
Right. Now, with her being a senior and you being a freshman, I know now in the in college basketball for women, you have to play all 4 years. Was that the same situation back then as well?
Yeah, it wasn't like I think now your scholarship is considered year to year, although coaches will honor you for 4.
Right.
When I played, it was a 4-year scholarship. Like basically you go through this and the transfer rate was nothing like it is now. I mean, you may hear of like a couple of people transferring every year, whereas now you hear of hundreds transferring. But it wasn't that big a deal. And I think the difference is, again, social media. It wasn't like we're at school mad about playing time or mad about, you know, our coach or whatever the situation is. Like, man, I can't take this cold weather no more. And you can get on your phone and you're looking at, man, she over there in Malibu. Look at this girl over here in Florida. I'm switching. You know, there's a lot of things in social media to entice kids now that might not be happy to say, hey, this might be a grass is on the greener side situation for you. We didn't have that. I mean, we didn't have the social media. We didn't have phones to call somebody and compare. If I wanted to talk to my parents, I called Collect. I know people don't even know what that is. Sorry if I scared you at home. Collect is a free call you made on a public phone. So like to call home, I had to call Collect. So, I mean, things were different, but yeah, it was definitely a 4-year commitment. So she was there 4 years. I was at my school 4 years, and it kind of just was what it was.
So now at that point, did she kind of miss some years between professional or because I'm kind of confused, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, no. So there were a lot of players drafted, weren't right out of college.
Okay.
So players had went overseas to continue playing. And so those players overseas came back and kind of like how they do now, where the WNBA was like researching and seeing who are the top players. You know, they utilized some of the Olympic Forum to start seeing the better players from different countries and then recruited. So like on my team, I had a older player from Japan that was playing on my team with me. We also had a girl, I think she was from China on LA that was like 6'8". They had a girl, I think she was from, I don't want to make it up, but Raja was she's like 6'11", you know? So, I mean, international players were big back then and they're still big now, but you had players that were coming from overseas to try out. And then you even had a couple, and I don't know if Lisa Leslie was that person or not, but there were a couple of players that didn't go overseas, but was just still playing pickup locally. And they decided when they heard the, rumor mill of the league coming, they decided to work out. And some people like came to different, because you could also come and try out and try to make a team as well if you got an invitation based on your stats and whatnot. So that was also one way to try to get your foot in the door.
Now, I think you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what pick and to which team were you drafted to in this inaugural season?
So I was drafted 4th round, first pick to Sacramento Monarchs.
Wow. Now, how long did you spend with the Monarchs while after you got drafted?
So I was with them for one season.
Mhm.
And then the next year, I was traded to Detroit Shock
Wow.
for, yeah, for the next season. So, and it was literally at work because I was overseas. I got back, and so I was doing a job that allowed me to be around weights and stuff and treadmills and all that. And so I'm at work, and I get a call and was like, "Oh, hey, we're trading you." It's
Wow.
like, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And I mean, it was like, this is going to be good news because you're coming closer to home. And I was like, no, that's true because, you know, I had relocated to Virginia from the Virgin Islands. And so from Virginia to California was definitely a hump for my family versus from Virginia to Detroit. That wasn't
Yeah.
as bad a journey. So that was my next home in Detroit.
Now, we always hear about players being traded during breakfast in their sleep. That's really crazy that at any moment's notice, you can be getting, they shipped you out before you know it. Everybody else knows it
Yeah.
before you know it. People finding out on Sports Center. It's just a
Yeah.
crazy situation.
It's, you know, it's part of the business. It is what it is. And you know, I think one thing that was very different from the college level to the pro level was just the like the bonds that you had in college where you're around
Right.
somebody for a few years, so you really get to connect, and that family atmosphere. With the league, it was a lot more business. My first month of training camp in Sacramento was brutal. I remember working out with so legend Pamela McGee. Her son plays now. JaVale McGee was my
Wow.
teammate, and her and I can joke today, but it wasn't so funny when we were playing. But I remember, I mean, she would elbow me in my chest, my head. I mean, just it was physical. It was really, really physical because everybody was fighting for a spot. Everybody wanted to make sure that you made the team. And one thing that people don't realize about that inaugural season was there was what they called you could have an alternate player. So there was 10 on roster, and then you had like two alternate players
Right.
that had contracts that could have been revolved. They could have moved up if someone got cut. I mean, you could have gotten cut at any point if the team was like, we're not feeling you. They could call you in the next day and tell you pack your stuff up and go. So it was a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety a lot of times in practices. And so it was tough. And Pam McGee was one of those ladies that made it really tough for this rookie. And again, because Pam's about 8 years older than me.
Right.
So, you know,
Experience.
that experience was real. It was definitely real. And but she still taught me a lot in terms of, you know, different little techniques to hook or hold or whatever. She taught me a lot.
Now, with you spending a couple of years, how long did you stay in the WNBA?
So I played 2 seasons complete. And then in my last season, I started having like little nagging between like my shoulder popping out and my back issues was kind of nagging. And so I went one more season with the Phoenix Mercury as an alternate player. So they had called me in they had a lot of injuries. And so they had me come as an alternate player to be there in practices and whatnot so that you could train and be ready in the event that the players that were on contract didn't get healthy or that they got news that said that the player was done. They wanted to have someone that's
To
in
fill the
shape, knows
spot?
the plays, ready to go. So I did that. And unfortunately, fortunately, you can say the players were healthy. So that was a good thing. And
Mhm.
so they were like, hey, we no longer need you for this contract. Next, like 2 days later, I get a call from Usi Richards who says, hey, would you like to come play for the national team? We have a tournament coming up and we would love to have you if you're available. And literally, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. That would be great. I can continue playing. It's the Virgin Islands. Why not? Let's do this. And so that was my first introduction to playing with the Virgin Islands team as a player.
Now, how many years did you, or how many tournaments did you get to compete in for the Virgin Islands?
I think my memory is not great. I think it was three that I competed in with the Virgin Islands, and would have competed in many more because I loved it. I loved training camp. I loved eating the food from home. I loved everything about. I loved competing against the other islands. Um, but I was older when obviously when the women's team started in the Virgin Islands, I was older, so I had started having a family. So I had my daughter, and it was kind of hard to come back with her. And then when I just thought that I could maybe get down there, then I was pregnant with my son. So my little wonderful, beautiful bundles of joy was sort of the reason why my career was short with the Virgin Islands.
I mean, that's a good reason. That's a fair trade.
Yeah,
Now,
I appreciate that.
of those tournaments that you did compete in, which one was one of the ones that stood out for you, where you had either a great game or maybe just had a great tournament overall?
Hands down, the CARICOM games that were held in St. Thomas, the best.
Now,
The
why was that the best?
best. Well, first of all, just the whole thing was great. So my brother, Faisal Abraham, he was competing on the men's team. So first of all, I'm in training camp the same time with my brother, which was just cool. And then two of the players, one on the women's team, one on the men's team, we grew up with in the Virgin Islands. So Raja Bell and Tumbi Bell. And so Tumbi was on the team with me, and Raja and Fai were together. So like the four of us hadn't hung out in a long time, but we used to go to Kramer's Park and Sandy Point. We were always at some beach hanging out, having a good time, and really hadn't seen each other since Hugo until then, like till that moment. So I mean, you're talking about almost a decade or more. And so that set it off already in the Virgin Islands of training camp. So we having a good time. We're training. We're competing. We go over to St. Thomas, and there was always this. There's like this little rivalry sometimes with some of the other islands where they're like, well, of course your stuff is good. You're U.S. territory, because I mean, the food was on point. I can't think of where we stayed, the resort in St. Thomas, but the food was so good every single day. And all the other countries, Bahamas, Dominican Republic, everybody was saying how good the food was. And then you get onto the games, and competition was so good. And I don't know, our team just played really, really well together that year. And, the coaches, the time, rest his soul, Bud Hazard, he was our coach at the time. He, really let us have a player-led team and gave us a lot of autonomy to sort of run the team. So Tumbi Bell was our point guard, and she really just ran the team. And I think one of my better games was against Dominican Republic at that time, and was playing really, really good. And one of the players was like, we got to shut her down. So I'm going up for a rebound, and I got undercut and landed on my head. So 5 minutes later, I'm heading to an ambulance to go to the hospital, whatever. But I played really, really well. So I told people, I said, it's the joke on the playground that's like, if we can't beat you, we're gonna beat you. I was like, I've been a victim of that moment. So, and so they went to the hospital, whatever. So the next day I wasn't able to play. But then the day after I played. Now, you and I know in today's day and age, if you get a concussion, there's no way you're coming back.
No way.
In 48 hours, right? So it just tells you how different things were. And of course, I'm a competitor. I wanted to play the next day. And they're like, no, you can't play the next day. And I'm like, why? I feel fine. They're like, no, you can't. But I nagged them enough that they allowed me to play the day after that. So, but that was the best tournament. I mean, we competed well. We were winning. Got to, see my brother when the boys played, my brother was playing. So that was great. I don't even think there's tournaments anymore like that with the Central Basket Games where it's co-ed. So just for it to have been co-ed like that was so, so nice.
Definitely. All right. So we're going to keep those names hidden of who let you play in that ball game just for purposes. We'll keep those names hidden. But moving on, What was some of the best stats you could say you had in any game of your career, even down to high school? Any game, your best stats.
Well, I guess in oh man. So these are tough questions for me because I'm that player that never looked at the stat sheet. Like that was
Right.
me. So that's tough. But in terms of like a game that really stood out to me was a rebounding game.
Right.
And I'd called home to my dad and I was venting, you know, venting. After I
Vented.
called collect, I was venting and I said, Daddy, I said, I'm not getting enough touches and I want to get some more touches and my guard shoot it a lot. Da, da, da. So I go through this thing and my dad was like, and this is the day before we played Rutgers. And my dad said, so are they making every shot? And I'm like, no, they're not making every shot. So what's, and he says, okay, well, listen, then if they're missing 7 shots, then why don't you go get those 7 shots that are missed and go put them back in? He said, now you
Right.
get a rebounding stat and you get a bucket. So I know it seems simple, but at the moment, it was like mind blowing. What? So the next day I go out and like got 21 rebounds.
Wow.
And that was like one of my best. And Rutgers is a good school. It wasn't like, something easy. But it was like that fight in me was I was fired up. My dad got my mind right. And, I think that's a good thing when you can talk to your parents about something that's frustrating and they give you positive advice to help you in your situation instead of, you'll have parents sometimes that's like, oh man, that's terrible. That's awful. Those girls are selfish,
Right.
and they take you down that rabbit hole. Well, my parents were good. They never took me down the rabbit hole. They always redirected me with something positive that could happen out of that moment.
Definitely. Now you had a very interesting, lengthy basketball career. Who are some of the best players that you got to play against? I mean, Lisa Leslie clearly is one, but who are some other names that
Oh
you
man, Lisa Leslie. I've played against Tina Thompson.
have?
Played
Ooh,
against. Oh man, there's so many. Played with and against Bridget Gordon. Um, Gosh, the 7-foot girl, she was pretty tough to go against. And she was from Poland. She played with Utah. She was super hard to
Seven
score on. It
feet.
was like, yeah, spaghetti arms. No matter where you threw the ball, it was like she was playing volleyball when everybody else was playing basketball. It's crazy. And we even simulated what that would look like in practice with a broom, and it still did no justice for what that girl was capable of. Yeah, so those were some of the best. I mean, and then guards, obviously, like Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops. I mean, some of these people were just fantastic. Just
Right.
And then the good thing about it is, and I think it's so different now than like, we could go on the court and battle and whatever, and then still have a conversation later on and
Right.
interact. And so a lot of the players that I played against in the league, we still communicate and talk to this day, and it's never like, oh, I hated playing against you or whatever, and negative. If we say it, it was just because you were so competitive. Like Cynthia
Right.
Cooper, who was the MVP of the league for 3 years. I mean, it didn't matter what we did, what schemes we had to defend her, she was going to drop 20 points. Like,
Right.
ah. So, I mean,
Amazing.
it was just that type of talent out there. So, and for me, I loved playing against the best because it made you bring your A game, but more importantly, you knew that if you won the game, it was a hard fought win that you worked your butt off for.
Definitely. Now, you had a career where you had some things that kind of bothered you in your career, some adjustments you had to make. Was there any time you thought to yourself, I don't want to play basketball anymore?
Um, I think the moment when you're, because like you say, everyone thinks the grass is always greener. Like, oh, she's just no. There were some tough moments. When I got the call, that was talking about even like with Phoenix Mercury, when I got the call that said this player is fine, she's going to be activated, so we are going to end your contract as being an alternate player. Like those moments are hard. you know. And when I made the decision to transition from playing to coaching, that was a hard decision too, because I wasn't sure if I still wanted to be around something that was like kind of heart wrenching and stressful.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what that would look like, but it was tough, you know. But a person of faith, and I'm a person that believes, again, God has a plan. And so I have to remember that even though it feels like a roller coaster to me, He's got a plan and it's moving smooth, and you just got to trust it. And so when that voice on one side is starting to discourage me, I have to reinforce it with some positive talk and some prayer. And that usually helps me get back on track.
All right. So we got some good stuff going here in your playing career, but what's really interesting about you is your coaching career. So we're gonna take a little short break right here. Live Wire fans will be back with more with Tajama Ngongba. I got it. Got it.
I'm doing great, even though every day is not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa. I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa. Effort ang billboard ready. Whoa, whoa. Effort ang billboard ready.
All right, Between the Line fans, we are back with more of Between the Lines here, presented to you by Livewire Sports. We're going to get back into the conversation with our guest here, Tajama Ngongba. Tajama, you still here with us?
I am still here. Take
Oh,
my glasses off. I'm still here.
I thought it was a different person. I thought we had a twin or something going on here.
You know, I tell people, I say, you know, once you hit that 40s, you know, that the eyesight gets a little blurry. So I can see things, but when it comes to reading,
Right, right. No, you touched on your coaching career a little bit before we left for the break. I want to get right into that right now. At what point did you realize that you could be in sports without actually being a player?
I guess it was, you know, kind of that time, the downtime you have after you finish playing and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's next?
Right.
And is what's next corporate world, is what's next, you know, just what's next. And so as I was sort of going through all of those different thoughts, you know, my former college coach, Joe McEwen, had said, why don't you get into coaching? You'd be a great coach. And I had did some part-time work at the admissions office at George Washington. So the admissions office had said, hey, why don't you come over and work in our department for admissions, because you do a great job going out to the high schools and recruiting in the time that you did that for us before. Right. And so, of course, you know, I'm running this around with my coach and my parents and trying to figure out what to do. And finally, my basketball coach, Joe McEwen, said, if you're going to do recruiting, it is going to be for us in basketball. So I need you to really think about, you know, starting basketball. And so there was a position there called administrative assistant, which now is kind of like the director of basketball operations.
Wow.
And in that position is where I had my start. So I got my feet wet in figuring out, okay, is this something that I want to do? You know, what does it entail? Because obviously as a player, you have this impression of your coaches. You just see them in the gym. You might see them in the office. But really, what do they do all day? Like, I really didn't know as a player, what do coaches do all day, you know? So I was able to sort of get the behind the scenes of like recruiting meetings and how they strategize to get different players and how they strategize where they're going to go out to locate the players and how they strategize what schools to recruit from, because obviously the academic standards are high at George Washington, so which is where I started. Right. And so you're trying to figure out all these things, all these strategy meetings, and then you have meetings to discuss players and their specific programs and how we're going to develop them at the school. And then we have academic meetings to talk about how the players on campus can be successful and stay on track to graduate. And then you have all the, like, we call fires. So things you don't expect, you know, whether it's the call from, you know, this person and, you know, my kid is at home, she has the flu and she can't make it back. And you have all these little like fires that could happen as well. You have budget meetings to figure out, okay, how can we spend money? How can we plan travel? And so as a player, you just see the end results of everything. You don't see the process, the planning of any of these things, or the phone calls that you have to make to recruits throughout the evening. So it was a lot of learning in my first year. And I started off part-time. And then my second year, I went full-time. And then I was offered a job at the University of Richmond as a assistant coach. And so I took that opportunity and left George Washington to go to the University of Richmond to begin my coaching career.
Now, what was that like? You just came from being a player, and now you have to be the person who calls the shots, like assist those players to get into the pinnacle of their career. What was that moment like for you in your first actual game as a coach?
It was, you know, it's sort of like when you come into this situation, you're trying to feel it out and you want to be helpful, but you don't want to say something that's like inappropriate or that's not your place. Or so for me, I'm really just trying to feel this thing out, trying to feel out my
Yep.
head coaches, and how do I rock with the assistants, and how do I fit in with people that do have this experience over me. So my first few games, I really just kind of took it in and would maybe say things just here and there in
Right.
terms of suggestions to the staff. I probably did more with talking directly to the players with things that I saw. I was more comfortable communicating to the players at that point than
Right.
actually to the coaching staff. But and then also, I figured out, like, okay, everyone doesn't need to do the same thing in the game. So I realized this coach does a lot with this, and this coach does a lot with that, and this coach gets on them and then coaches on them. So my first year, for me, I did a lot of what I call just like keeping their minds right. And so if I saw they were a little flustered after coach getting on them, I would call them over and like try to settle their spirit, get their minds right, get them refocused so they could go back out and do work. And so, like, as the games went on, I would figure out how to insert myself where I was needed and not step on anybody's toes. And so that was sort of my first year, just figuring out how to operate on the floor. Because again, it's not just me, it's the head coach, there's 3 assistants, so it's a lot of moving parts to it all that you're
Definitely.
trying to manage and to figure out, okay, how do I like smoothly fit in?
Now you've had several coaching jobs. I've recently been told that you have a very big one that you recently become a part of. But can you name some of those schools that you coached at before the big one? I want to save the big one for really last.
Sure. I spent a season at Richmond, and then I went to Virginia Commonwealth University, which is also in Richmond. So I didn't even really have to relocate. So it was in the
Right.
same city. And I was there for 2 years and did a really good job, got a really good recruiting class there. And so my head coach at George Washington called me back. He was like, oh, no. If you're going to work, you need to come back to your alma mater and work. So I ended up going back to George Washington, but this time as one of the top assistant coaches. So that was really, really cool. And did a great job. I was there for 4 years. And we built it up to the point where helped coach recruit classes that got us to the Sweet 16 back-to-back. And after those 2 back-to-back appearances, I was then took a job at Radford University as the head coach for 5 years. And so that was a really great experience to be a head coach and be able to mentor young ladies. And at that time, I was actually able to bring a wonderful Crucian my way, Victoria Hamilton, who also plays on the national team. And so she came and played for me at Radford. And so that was like super cool to have that happen. And then after that, went to George Mason as an assistant. I've been there for 8 years, and now I'm at a new home, and I am really enjoying my new home.
Yo, your new home is a legendary home. It is a house where a lot of very talented players have been to. I want you to go ahead and show a lot of love to your new home and tell us exactly where that is.
So I'm a Georgetown Hoya, and
Love
it
it.
is in Washington, D.C., in an area called Georgetown, which is really nice. Lots of restaurants and shops. But I am so proud to be a part of the Georgetown women's basketball family. The coaching staff is great. The players are great. And I'm just ready to go there and do what I do best. And everyone is super excited about me leaving on Monday to go down and start with the Virgin Islands national team. And so it's really great to have an athletic department support and my coaching staff, because again, I'm just starting, and then I say, hey, I need to be gone 3 weeks. And they are super supportive of that. So which is great that they understand my passion for my Virgin Islands. So
Now,
it's great.
Georgetown is a elite school when it comes to sports, but especially basketball. So we know you're onto something good there at Georgetown. We can't wait to see the results in the upcoming fall.
Yes, 100%. So I thank everybody for following. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good season, and I'm excited. And I'm going to be specializing working with the post players, and so they're really excited because they've said they haven't really had a post coach. So I was like, oh man, you guys have been missing all the good stuff, but good stuff is coming your way. So they're super excited about that, as am I.
Now, I love how you always save the big things for last. You mentioned Georgetown. Georgetown is great, but your role in the VI Basketball Federation is even greater. What is your role in Virgin Islands basketball?
Well, as I said, I started off as a player, but now I am the head coach for the women's senior national team. And I'm just very thankful to Mr. Baker and everybody for giving me an opportunity to come home and do what I love with wonderful young ladies.
Now, I'm definitely, I did not know who you were before the last tournament, but I'm a very, very big believer of the women's national team from a couple of years ago. But just to see the impact that you're having and the great showing you guys had in that last tournament, what do you expect to see in the upcoming tournaments?
Well, the simplest thing is I told the girls, we're going there to compete. We're going there to compete for the gold. And just like El Salvador had some big dogs, obviously this tournament has some big dogs. And
Definitely.
it's going to be tough. We don't know our brackets yet, so we don't know who we're playing just as yet, but we know that there are 9 other qualifying teams with countries such as Canada, USA, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Venezuela, El Salvador, Dominican Republic. And so we have got to be ready to bring our A game because there's 10 teams, and in the first 5 days, you'll play 4 games to place. And only the top 4 teams from each side will continue and go into more of like a traditional semifinals, finals, championship format on the second half. And so my goal is for us to be as prepared as we can. I'm very thankful that we're going to have 2 weeks to train. Is it going to be enough perfect? No, but it's still something that we have to work with, and we're going to work with whatever we get. So we're very appreciative to the Virgin Islands Federation and the Virgin Islands Olympic Committee for making sure they got us that time to go down there and train. And our goal coming out of there, I tell the team, let's keep it simple. I believe in our scoring ability. So I tell them it's going to come down to our defense and outworking people on the boards.
Right.
And that was our focus going into El Salvador. It's going to be our focus going into Puerto Rico as well.
Now, you have reached the pinnacle of your sport a couple of times, but you are now the head coach of the women's basketball team. What is that experience like for you to come through the national team and now be at the helm of it, leading this charge with a very, very skilled and very talented Virgin Islands women's national team?
It's exciting, so I had a stint with the national team earlier, and it was kind of in the building phase. And so to be able to have been a part of then and being able to see it now. So I believe it was 2011 was my first time coaching the national team as a head coach. And I did it for, I think, 4 summers, and then took a break, and now I'm back. And to see the improvement that the ladies have had, let's just talk about each individual player, the commitment that they have had to work on their craft, to continue working to get better. We don't do well without their mindsets being right. We have a group chat that we're on a couple times a week, making sure that everybody is getting fit, getting ready. And I love that. You'll see, like Natalie saying, hey, does anybody need extra workouts? I have ideas. And they're talking about how we can stay fit, because with 2 weeks, it's important that every player come in shape. And so I'm constantly on them about, make sure you're in the gym, make sure you're running, make sure you're getting in shape, make sure you're working hard to be the best individual talent when you come in the gym. Make sure you're grinding. Like we talk about this all the time as they're on their own, because like I said, we get this training camp, we have 2 weeks, that's it, to get everybody. And it's really not even 2 weeks, it's more like 13 days, maybe 12, to get everybody acclimated, to get everybody going. And the girls are just so selfless. Like they come together, and there's nobody on the team that has an ego. There's nobody on the team that's selfish. Like these are some good women, but I'll tell you, everybody on the team will go through a wall for each other, and they compete. They will not back down. I don't care what name is on the jersey. And that's what Virgin Islanders need to know. These ladies do not back down. And I love coaching a group of ladies like that. You have no idea what it feels like to coach ladies that's so armored up in their fight to protect our country. And and make sure that they step on the floor and give the best product possible. And I thought we did that in El Salvador, and I'm confident that they're going to step on the floor and give the best versions of themselves again in Puerto Rico.
Definitely, definitely. Now, on that team, you have a very large amount of players that play not only internationally professional ball, but you have some collegiate athletes as well. What do you think those leaders are able to provide for the generation following them? Do you feel like we have a lot of other young ladies who can make it to collegiate basketball or to international play?
Oh, I do. I do. I definitely do. And I think now there's more avenues and people that can help get them to that point. You know, like when I came out of college, if you weren't like a big name, it was so hard to get overseas. You know, you had to have this big name and you had to, you know, have like all these credentials and stats and whatnot. And now it's not as challenging. Yeah, you still have to be a good player. Yeah, you still have to have some stats, but you don't have to be the big fish to go overseas. And I think that's something that players need to know. They need to understand that there are opportunities out there in different countries. And I do think our girls have the chance, girls in college right now that I am watching and keeping an eye on, just because if they're available, we'd want them on the national team. I think some of those players have a chance to go overseas and play.
Now, I just really excited. When is the upcoming tournament, and where will you guys be traveling to compete in this tournament?
So I'll give you sort of the window. The team will report on May 26th. So it's like next Wednesday. The team will be in St. Croix. We train on the island of St. Croix. And then on June 8th, we have to leave to go to Puerto Rico. And that's where the FIBA AmeriCup 2021 games are being held. And on June 8th, everybody has to go in, everybody meaning every country that's competing, every country's delegation, everyone has to arrive on June 8th because that's when the bubble commences. And so once you get there, you start your COVID test, they'll quarantine you until you get a negative test. There may be adjusted protocols for people that have been vaccinated, but they haven't given us that information just yet. But we do know that if you're not on the island on June 8th, you cannot coach, you cannot compete, you cannot watch the games. The games itself will start on June 11th, and June 11th through June 15th is the first round, and we'll play against teams that are in our pool or in our group. It'll be Group A, Group B. They haven't given out the Group A, Group B teams yet, so we don't know, but that's typically how the format goes. As a Group A, Group B, there'll be 5 in each. The top 4 will move on, so the 16th will be a day off where all teams can rest. If you did not make it to the second portion of it, then you will be asked to leave the country and go home. And then you'll start playing again on the 17th, 18th, and 19th. And so on the 17th, like Group A number 1 will play Group B number 4, and you kind of go across the brackets like that for competition. And then you have the semis, and then you have a championship game on the 19th. And then after that, 20th, it's over, and then those that qualify move on. And so it's extremely important to train before going there, because those that understand basketball, those that understand sports, it is difficult to play 4 games in 5 days, particularly when a lot of times players are playing high minutes and it's back to back to back. It is very challenging. So it's important that our players right now eat well, train well, so that their bodies can be ready for that, because it is physical, it's intense, and by the nature of it, it is tough to play 4 games in 5 days.
Now, as a coach, coaching young athletes who are in their prime right now, do you ever have to let them know that you were as good as them in your time? Because sometimes the younger athletes feel like you're a little bit too old to play with them. You ever have those situations with any of your players?
You know, you have those every now and then. And I kind of meet like the extreme. Sometimes I'll have a player where they're like, oh no, I ain't playing her. She playing the WNBA. I'm not gonna get embarrassed. And then you do have that player that's like, I'll play her.
Right.
And so I have done like one-on-one with players that have, you know, wanted to play me. And, you know, if the game could have been 2 minutes, I would have been good. But when that cardio kicks in, they get me every time. But the earlier on is a wrap. I'm good that first 2 to 3 minutes. And then my lungs start messing with me and my chest get on fire, and it's all downhill from there because I'm not in shape. But it's fun. I think last time, if Coach Clint, he's my assistant coach, and he's amazing. He coaches at Indiana State in the States, and Coach Clint literally and I had to step into a practice because a couple of players had gotten like just some injury tweak things, and we couldn't go 5-on-5. And so he and I stepped in, and so we both scored. And then of course the team was like, "Dad, coach, you might as well suit up." I was like, "Oh no, boo, that's like 2 minutes and then it's over." Right. 2 minutes, one practice, then I'm gonna need 3 more days to recover to do 2 minutes again. So, but you get that, and it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm still competitive, so like my brain and my body don't always communicate. So there's times that I'm wanting to do stuff that I got no business doing, but I'm gonna still try.
Definitely a big shout out to Clint. He was on Between the Lines last season, so a big shout out to him and his new move on to Indiana State. That's a great move for him as well.
Yes, he is amazing.
Now, with you being a woman that came from the Virgin Islands who made it far in your sport, how important is it that we have advancements in women's sports in the Virgin Islands, that we kind of move forward rather than being stagnant with these young ladies as they want to grow and play sports as well?
I think it's really important. And I think even like just using this team, for example, I talked with some of the girls during the last tournament and was just conversating on, give me your impression of how you feel like things are being done, so that if I go speak to the federation, because the federation wants to know, like, how can we make this a better situation? How can we continue to improve on this so that our team continues to improve? And the girls were looking for little things. I mean, just little things that make them feel special. And so some of the feedback was, can we get gear so we look alike when we travel? Can we get, just more time in training camp? Because before El Salvador, we only had like 8 days. Right. And so they're like, can we have more, just little things like that. And I love the fact that the federation is willing to listen, willing to see what needs to be done. And already between last tournament and this tournament, they've been making moves to help the quality. Because now you think about that, you have these ladies talking about basketball, and they're on the island, and now they're sharing that message with, hey, being with the national team is amazing. You get these perks, you get these advantages. There's 2 coaches that coach us that are coaching in the States that could put us out there. And, so now it becomes something that's not just all about the Virgin Islands team, but something that's a 2-way street. We're able to give and take within the community and help younger players out. And I always tell people, in the first day or two, it's kind of like an open tryout. Normally, now there's the bubble, so that's different. But I'm like, it's an open tryout. If anybody wants to come through and just see what the level is like, to see what it takes, people were always welcome to come into the gym before COVID and look at it and check us out and see what it means to be playing at a high level, or what the pace looks like, or, how the girls talk on the court, just to see all of that up close and what it looks like to get yelled at, for a coach to get on you, and for a player to take it positively and then go utilize that information to be better the next play. So definitely. I do think there's a lot of benefits to it. And now you have young girls on the island that are seeing these girls on the island succeeding. They see these girls on the island being able to do some things that's really special. And they're seeing these girls on the islands on shows, and they're seeing them, hopefully we can get a banner up with the team on it at some point. And then when people are driving around the island, they'll see these players, and then it becomes something special. And let's be real, everybody wants to be a part of something special.
Right. Definitely. You hit the nail on the head with that one. And I'm a person who coaches girls sports, so I just love what you guys are doing as role models, as examples of where the girls can make it in sports. So definitely love what you guys are doing, and that's what makes me a big fan of the women's national team, honestly.
Well, thank you. Like I said, we appreciate you taking time to showcase. I know it's my interview, but this is about my team, all the little Virgin Island girls. I'm here to represent all of us.
Definitely. Now I know this is a subject that you can very much so be familiar with. But how do you feel about the new CBA that the WNBA is entering now, where they get increased in salaries and better benefits that come along with it?
Oh man, I am like, woo, it is about time.
Right,
It is such a blessing because again, when you think about the work that these ladies are putting into their craft, just like the men are putting it into their craft, and and it's not even just in sports, although that's what we're talking about here. There's a lot of disparities in what females make compared to males in the same exact job.
right.
And so I'm glad that there are steps being taken to change that. I am thoroughly excited. These ladies deserve it, and I am 100% in support. So thank you for
Definitely,
talking about that.
definitely. Now, you survived our interview portion of the show, but we're gonna take a break and we're gonna get back to the real action on the show right here. This is the part that really everybody waiting to see. I ain't gonna lie to you. So we're gonna take a really short break and we'll be right back with more of Between the Lines, presented to you by Livewire Sports.
Okay.
Hey there, I am Makisa Todman. I am the proud owner of this beautiful company, KJB Royal Seed Collections. Currently, I sell lashes, sunglasses, eyeliner adhesive, and customized items. In your package, you will receive one of the following: a pair of lashes, a lash applicator, a lash brush, eyeliner adhesive, sunglasses, and a customized t-shirt. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at KJB Royal Seed Collections. You can also visit my website at www.kjbroyalseedcollections.com. I hope to see you guys soon, and I hope you enjoy this lovely package.
I'm doing great, even though every day's not fine. But still I woke up today, another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa. Effort on bills, we're born ready. Whoa, whoa. Effort on bills, we're born ready.
All right, Between the Lines fans, we are back. We are back once again. This is season 2 of Between the Lines. We have an interesting slate of guests coming up this season. Last week again we had Kirk Thomas. Tonight we have Tajama Ngongba. All right, so she's actually having some technical difficulties right now, so we're gonna go ahead and get her in as soon as we can. But just a review. We had a really good thing going here tonight with her. She is a former WNBA player. She is the coach of our national team. She is great all around. But oh, don't forget, she is the assistant coach for the Georgetown Hoyas, which is a legendary basketball school altogether. But it's time to laugh at her a little bit, lighten the mood, get really interesting, get really fun. So Tajama, are you here with us still? Are you here? I think you have some technical.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I thought you were running away from our interactive segment.
Man, I am a little nervous, man, because you like this is about to be a song. I'm like getting my nerve up and ready for this.
Listen,
Okay.
at this point, it just goes straight downhill from here. Straight downhill. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start. Now, we love the energy. We love what's going on with you. So we're gonna get you into one of our favorite games here on Between the Lines. This one is called This or That. And I'm going to be honest, usually in life, you don't really supposed to judge people, but I'm definitely judging on every single answer you make right now. Everyone, every single one. So, with that being said, don't choose the wrong answer.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay, here we
So
go.
I'm going to give you two options. You're going to choose this or that. Hopefully, you choose this because that might not work out for you right now. So, we're going to go ahead and start. And our first question, we're going to start off really, really light, really safe.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
Uno or spades?
Uno.
Why Uno?
I don't know how to play spades, so I'm gonna have to go with the game that I know how to play. I know, I should know, but I don't know how to play spades.
No, I agree with Uno because Uno is this Olympics. Like Uno is the Olympics of card games. There's nothing better than Uno.
Yes.
Nothing at all.
Yes.
This one is pretty obvious. It's kind of a cheat, but I'll let you have it. Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Okay, no. Let's change this around. Reebok or Adidas?
Reebok.
Oh wow, this is personal, isn't it? This is personal. This is very personal. Yeah,
So
okay, I realize.
So I never knew this about Adidas, but apparently, you know, when you work with like a Nike or a Reeboks, if you say, you know, medium or large, it's the same medium or large on anything you order. Adidas is not like that. These three things you might need a medium, but these things you might need a large. And then this one over here, you might need an extra large, whereas this kind you might need a small. I'm still the same person.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until I started getting when at my prior school, George Mason, we were Adidas, and it was difficult. Like, you know, I think it works. Adidas works good though for like people that have skinny, thin legs. And I'm like, you know, I have like curves and I have like, you know, hips and stuff. So like it's I guess my body isn't Adidas friendly. We'll leave it at that.
I got you.
It's not the Adidas fault. We're blaming it on me. It's me, it's not them.
Let's take it a little bit further. Adidas or Puma?
Puma.
Puma. Now, interesting fact for a lot of people out there. Did you know the founder of Adidas and the founder of Puma are brothers?
Did not know that.
They actually had one group. They were both on Adidas, and they had a disagreement. And the one brother decided to go, and he ended up making Puma. This is way, way back in time, early 1900s.
Know that. You see, you educated a sister today. Okay. No, I didn't.
Definitely,
but it kind of
definitely
explains why they both have that like wide round thing going on in the front. It's just the genetics of the design in the brain. Okay. All right, moving on.
Definitely. All right, let's go on. Johnny Cake or Patty?
Johnny Cake. Johnny Cake.
Why Johnny Cake? You have nothing inside of Johnny Cake. It's just dough.
Love it. Like I could eat bread like that. Like I love it. No, don't get me wrong. Saltfish, pate.
No, you got a really good point there.
Yeah, but Johnny Cake can just go with so many things. I can do Johnny Cake and fried chicken. I can do Johnny Cake with fish. I can do Johnny Cake with stewed chicken and soap it up. Like I just, you know, it's so versatile. Now,
I had a conversation recently and I told someone like a Johnny Cake is one of the greatest things ever created by VI people ever. Everybody has their national dish and their this and that in different countries. But Johnny Cake is better than all of those things. Everything.
Oh.
There's nothing better than Johnny Cake.
So
a fresh
good.
Johnny Cake out the oil.
So good. Hot. Buttery. Delicious. Yes.
Definitely. Dancing or singing?
Dancing.
You don't sound good singing. That's what I'm hearing right now.
I mean, you know, I think my voice is okay, but like the rest of the world might not agree. So
we have one of those shower singing voices.
There you go. And I don't know what it is about the acoustics in the shower. It does me well. But
everybody
I do
sounds good
enjoy singing. I do. I do enjoy singing, but I just know in public places, dancing is more like that's where I'm way better.
All right, so we have here deep sea diving or hot air balloon riding.
Deep sea diving,
Deep sea, no,
water
no.
girl all
Well,
day, water girl all day.
I mean, a hot air balloon don't sound too bad because you don't know what's down in the bottom of the sea. But a
At
hot air
least if
balloon don't
I'm
sound safe either. You know what? I'll just stay on
no, at
land.
least
I'll
if
just
I'm
stay and watch.
yeah, at least if I'm going down and I see something crazy, I'm out. But if I'm in the
Wow.
air and something don't work out, it's just like
Coming straight now.
coming straight down. So,
All right. Lose your memory or not be able to create new ones.
oh,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm gonna say not be able to create new ones because my father passed and I don't want to forget anything about him or anybody else that's been in my family that's in heaven, like that have shaped who I am. Like I would never want to not be able to tell the stories. So,
Definitely.
but that's a tough one. Dang, that was a tough one. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Hey,
You're
there we go. I get some more good
not
stuff in here.
playing. You're
Some
not
really good
playing.
ones.
Oh man.
All right. Passion fruit juice or cereal?
Passion fruit juice. I
That
like
was a
sweet stuff.
no brainer. No brainer. Passion fruit juice and Johnny cake is two undefeated things in VI history.
Delicious. Man, okay. Oof.
All right, here we go. These last two right here is
Okay, let me get my
very,
mind
very
right.
important.
Okay, here we go.
Very, very important. This one is nasty and nastier, but coconut or guava tart? Oh, this is a hard choice of nasty. I know. Two horrible choices.
I'm gonna go with coconut.
Ah,
It's
I don't know.
yeah,
It's just bad.
yeah, I'm gonna go with coconut. I'm gonna have to
What?
just that's kind of like the neutral island thing, you know. It's I don't know. It's just the guava
No.
tart. Ah,
So
just
what is your favorite tart?
pineapple.
And that's why we don't ask that question because everybody loves pineapple. Too easy. You have to pick bad and bad. And the final question, and I know where you're going with this already, but I can ask anyways, and I
Oh
can stay on
man.
my
Okay.
side and you stay on your side.
Okay.
Horse or Haas? Don't do it.
Horse.
Oh, no. They're going to take your cruising card right after the show done. Right after the show done. I have never heard a Crucian say horse in my life. You are an
I,
honorary
but let
rock
me tell
girl
you
for the
something.
rest of life.
I've never even used that word my entire time. I feel like in St. Croix, I never even I never went to the track. Never got to go. Oh man, I was doing
You are
so
no
good.
longer, you can't
You
go
know,
back to England.
you put the epic fail question at the end. You knew it was
Yeah,
going down.
definitely.
Crash and
I
burn.
was going,
Crash and
but I
burn.
really
Okay.
thought you were going to say Haas. I cannot believe you said that. You are no longer allowed in St. Croix, but you can come over here in St. Thomas anytime.
But I need an exception from just the 26th to June 8th. I need an exception for
You got to give back your card when you're leaving, though,
No,
on the way
I
out.
knew you was gonna say that. I just wanted to make it interesting, you know. I knew exactly what I was supposed to say.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
All right, so
yeah.
you survived that part here, but this right here is where everybody goes crazy. I love it
Oh,
because it's not
okay.
me, it's you. We have some pictures here of you all throughout life. We want you to identify them, maybe tell us what was happening at that moment, or even tell us what you were thinking because some of them was
Oh
really what were you thinking?
man, what pictures?
Oh, we're gonna see right now.
Oh no.
There we go. Let's go ahead and start with the first picture. Let's see
Oh
what we have
my.
here.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh wow. Okay, that was photo day at George Washington University when I played in college. I want to say it might have been my sophomore or freshman year. Wow, I don't
Now,
know where you guys found that. That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
which number are you?
40.
40. Is this you with the ball in the front? Ah, okay. You're hiding now.
You know, oh my gosh.
I was
Oh
looking
my
for 40,
gosh.
not finding it.
Oh my gosh. This is actually, I'm looking at, oh, okay. This was actually my senior year. Wow, 96, 97. I'm gonna stop saying years because that's like I might go wrong. Yeah, my
Now,
senior year.
who was the head coach in this picture?
Joe McEwen, and he's also the head coach now at Northwestern.
Now, is that him all the way to the right standing?
Yes, he has the suit on.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
Okay, okay. Moving on, moving on, moving on.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Oh, whoa.
Oh my gosh. I need you to fire whoever got these pictures. They're done. Oh my gosh. So
These
this one
are
is
great.
oh man. This is crazy. This was definitely freshman year. Um yeah, that was freshman year. I was trying to figure out something easy to do with the hair and I cut it off and then I regretted it like a week later. And yeah, it was like bad idea, bad
Now,
choice. But yeah,
the
getting
real
ready to shoot
question
a
is,
free throw.
did you make it or did you miss it?
I'm sure I made it. That's a pretty good
All
free
right,
throw shooter.
we'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. You know, and I could tell like if I was breathing hard, like you see, I don't really look tired. When I was fresh,
Mhm.
it was pretty much money. Now, if I like was trying to find oxygen and then that might have been a little 50-50, but
Everything else
yeah.
is all good.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Oh man. So still at George Washington. Um, that's the band behind, they used to call them the Colonial Army in the background. And I am rejecting this young lady's shot. No, 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 no. And
Uh-huh.
and I don't recall who we're playing, but definitely college days for sure at George Washington University.
That looks like, is that Michigan? No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think it is. I think it might
No.
have been a conference game. So
Okay, okay.
yeah, I think it's conference.
All right, let's move on.
Mm. Okay, was my inaugural season trading card when I was with Sacramento Monarchs in 1997. And right there, I'm posting up trying to get the ball. Don't know if I got it or not, but definitely that was a post up. That might be something I can show my nation right now. This is how you post. You get your hands up and you ask for the ball. But yeah, that's inaugural season.
Now, do you have any of these trading cards still?
I have one somewhere in the house. Yes, I do.
Let's
I
move
do.
on from this one.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay, so that's the other side. You know, look at my more business look. So it's the other side of the trading card. It's still with the Sacramento Monarch season, and I love the trading cards because they gave like some information on it. And as you can see, it represents the Virgin Islands on the trading card. So I wanted to make sure they
definitely.
know where I was from.
Love it.
Um, but I always represent VI, even in college. That was always listed as my hometown.
Great, great, great. Let's move on to the next picture. I feel like we get some good stuff here coming. Okay.
Oh man, what?
I just want you to
Who
know,
finds these things?
just want you to know you're on the second best team in California at this point.
Oh my god.
We love the Sparks.
That's okay. LA is way more exciting than oh yeah. LA is way more exciting than Sacramento. So I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
No,
We still cool. We still cool. We still cool. It's not a problem.
one of the interesting things about the WNBA is initially they were kind of brother sister teams with the NBA, correct?
Yes. Yes. So
So
you had like you know, Lakers and Sparks, you know, you had the Kings and the Monarchs. So yeah,
right,
it was kind of brother sister team. So it was and it was kind of nice because every now and then you'd see some of the guys around coming through to watch and stuff. And when I was with Detroit, we actually had Grant Hill come up and play like pick up with us and stuff. So it was nice having them around because they would give you advice on like how to take care of your bodies because they'd already been doing it and we were just starting.
Right. That had to be a great experience just to get some pointers from some high quality basketball players at that point, especially
It
Grant Hill.
was. It was really nice. It was. It was really nice, and they were really just you expected these like personalities where they think they might be better than they are, but they were really at least a few that I met were really down to earth.
I just move on to the next picture.
Oh my God, there's more. Ah. Oh
What's this?
wow. Oh man. Okay. Framed jersey. Trying to look at the colors. I'm thinking it might have been Detroit. Which would have been 1998 if I'm correct with it being Detroit. Shock. And for those that are like, where did Abraham come from? That was my maiden name before I got married and became Mrs. Ngongba.
Now, I'm really hurt that you don't remember where this jersey is from. And
I'm
whoever gave you this jersey might need to take it back.
no, please don't, please don't, please don't.
All right, moving on.
Oh wow. Okay, so that was A10 Legends. So the Atlantic 10 Conference was doing Legends, which is sort of like really cool, outstanding players in certain eras of the league. And so for the 97 season and for the George Washington University, I was selected as a legend from my school for the 810 conference. So that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. It was a big honor, and I was very thankful to have been honored.
Now, what year did they honor you guys?
So it was after I got mine when I was working at George Mason University. So pretty recent, maybe 4 years ago. So pretty recent.
Legends. Love it. Moving on.
Ah! Oh man. So this is at Radford University when I was a head coach there. And that 1-4, I'm sure looks familiar. That's Victoria Hamilton, and coaching her. I don't think I was yelling at her. I think it was, looks very encouraging. Hopefully I wasn't like really squeezing her arm too hard, but definitely giving her some coaching advice and like, Vicky, get out there and kick her butt, so
Right.
a little bit of that going on there probably.
All right, we can move on. What is that on your wrist?
Bracelet.
Where they from?
It was a gift from my husband, so I'm not sure where.
Okay. Moving on to the next picture.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah, this was awesome. So when I got into the Big South Conference, I was one of the younger head coaches, and so it was really great to get this honor as the coach of the year for taking the team and upsetting a couple of teams that year. We finished second in the conference, so it was a very successful year. And again, Victoria Hamilton was part of that, so that was great to have my VI girl on with me. But yeah, that was cool. So took that picture way obviously before that moment. It was one of those like preseason pictures that they just grabbed for the honor, but that was in 2013. So pretty cool.
Okay. Definitely, I'm a big award for getting the coach of the year. One of your top accolades, maybe?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's a huge honor in the conference. So that was definitely one of my biggest as a head coach.
We're gonna move on from this one. See what else we have here. Anything else? We got a lot more to go.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. So this was at George Mason University, and I'm reading the caption to see which one. Um, oh, okay. Um, Coach Thompson. So we decided to, at George Mason, with the sports information folks, we decided to do something to and say something about how much Coach Thompson meant to people beyond Georgetown, people beyond just his players. And so um, those are just my thoughts on sort of this person, that coach, and the person that he was, and what I saw from a distance.
And it's crazy to see now that he was at Georgetown, and here you are at Georgetown now. Amazing.
Yeah, man. Small world, small world.
Definitely. We're gonna move on.
This was nice. This was done maybe a month before the Central Basket Games in El Salvador that were held in March. And this was just when it was announced that I was going to be the head coach for those games. So I thought this was designed by one of my friends, and I thought Carolina did a great job.
Excellent, excellent job. I'm gonna move on from this one as well. See what else we have here. Keep it going.
This is definitely one of my favorite ones. So this was when we earned the silver at Central Basket in El Salvador. And so it was kind of that moment that they bring us out, and they announced that we had earned the silver. We got to get on the stage, take some pictures, and obviously super proud of all the ladies, and just all that they've done and how hard they work to make it happen. And obviously there's a small joy as a mom because number 8 is my daughter. And so it was so cool to be coaching her, and she's front and center in the picture right now behind me.
How does it feel to actually get to coach your daughter? Because she doesn't go to your university, if I'm not mistaken. She does not. But to get to coach on a national team, how does that go for you? How's the relationship there?
It was good. I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but it has been great. Like, I have enjoyed coaching her. You know, for me, I'm able to just walk into the games or practices and be in game mode. And you know, she works hard. She's not the type of kid that's going to try to milk anything. So for the most part, when I'm in like coach mode, I'm not even thinking about her as my daughter. It's just a player that needs to get better. Even like in a couple of the games where she played well, I thought she played really well against Dominican Republic. And in the game, I didn't even really take in as a mom how well she played, but I knew she played well as a coach. So I went back and watched the game later. And I'm in my hotel room like, that's my baby. Oh my God. You know, I got to have that mom moment and just kind of enjoy it. But when I'm coaching, it's coaching. And I love that my daughter knows that when mom's in coach mode, it's coach, not mom. So it was a great experience. Our relationship, I thought, got better after it, which was a blessing.
And you know what's really, really great about this picture? I recognize a lot of people here, but the one that really stands out next to me is the young lady standing to the right of you. Who's that?
To the right of me, Lanice Bao.
Oh, no, we know Lanice. Lanice is a established star in Virgin Islands basketball a long time now.
Okay.
When I was in high school, she was a star, so I know exactly who she is. The other lady on the other side of you.
Anisha George.
I'm talking about the little one right here in front.
Oh my gosh. Miss Lorena. Yes.
President of Live Wire Sports.
I'm so sorry. We was going around the world. I got you now. Yes. Yes, Mrs. Superstar. I got to stand next to her. So I was, enjoying myself.
Now, what is her role with the team? Because I never heard of it. I just know she goes on trips. I just want to know, what is her role with the VI
So
national
she
team?
she took on two roles in El Salvador. I don't think she was expecting, but she was our team manager, and so she helped us with a lot of logistics of the day-to-day operations, with making sure the girls get meals and the uniforms are ready to go, and transportation. Just if they needed certain items, she would talk to our attaché and get it taken care of, and then we also had her switch hats, and she did some live wire interviews and stuff as well. So she was multitasking while she was down there.
As always, the president of Live Wire Sports, Lorena Robinson. We're gonna move on from this picture.
Well, that was a very, very recent picture, and it was what Georgetown University posted when they were able to let the world know that I had accepted a position and that I was going to be coaching there. So that was super exciting. Like you say, I think very highly of Georgetown University. It's a high academic, well-known global university. And on the basketball side, they've had some great, great players come through. So just very thankful and honored to be able to work at such a prestigious university, as well as a university that's still close to where I live. So I didn't have to relocate or anything. So, I mean, God's plan, like I say, is just amazing. And I just thank him for this opportunity at Georgetown.
Now you have went through the evolution of all of these brands. You went from Nike to Adidas, and now you're on to the greatest in sports right now. Jordan uniforms are the hippest thing in sports right now.
I'm not a big fashion person with the sports, but I do I have heard good things about the Jordan brand, and I am looking forward to I actually go up to the school tomorrow to pick up my Jordan gear. So I'm pretty excited about that. Of all the things I've worn, Puma, I've did Adidas, I've done Reebok, I've done Asics. I know that's like way back, but I've never actually worn the Jordan brand. So this is going to be a first time.
There are several player edition stuff that are named after Georgetown, so I'm sure you guys are going to get the best of the best at Georgetown University.
You're from your lips to God's ears. Yes, sir.
All right, so you made it through your pictures. That was actually the last picture, so you can breathe
Woo!
a sigh of relief now.
Woo!
Definitely.
You see,
But
that got me sitting all the way up. Then put my glasses on.
But we definitely want to thank you for coming on our show tonight. You had a great story that we really needed to hear. And a lot of young ladies need to hear that story as well. So we definitely want to thank you for coming on. But before you go, I want you to just give a shout out to anybody that might be watching, any family members, any players, whoever you would like, anybody who had an impact on your career or have gotten you to where you are right now.
So I want to give a shout out to my mom, Harriet Abraham. I want to give a shout out to my sister. She's my ride or die, Serene Abraham. My brothers, Ramadan, Fi, Nas. I want to give a shout out to my husband, Big Pat. My children, Naja and Patrick II. I want to give a shout out to Coach McEwen, all the coaches that have helped me. Georgetown University, thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to the VI Olympic Committee. Thank you for your support. I want to give a shout out to the VI Federation. I want to give a shout out to all the young ladies in the Virgin Islands that's about to do great things that they don't even know is coming. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Livewire for meeting me and introducing me to the world in this forum. I just want to thank you, Shaq,
Thank you.
for keeping me on my toes today. And I just want to definitely give a shout out to the Almighty God, because without him, none of this is possible.
Definitely. We appreciate you. We might have to have you back for a clinic or something going on with the ladies of the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, I'd love
to. Definitely, we enjoyed you here on our show. You had a great story, and you taught us a lot. You brought a lot of history here to us. We definitely appreciate you coming out here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Live Wire fans, this is going to be it for tonight. However, we are back next Wednesday, skipping days. Next week, Monday, we'll be back at 7:30 p.m. to continue with season 2 of our Between the Lines episodes, and we'll be on to episode 3. So keep it tuned, keep it locked, and stay Live Wire. Good night.
doing great. Even though every day's not fine, but still I woke up today. Another day to get on my grind. Got me singing, whoa, whoa. Effort, I'm built for fun, whoa, whoa. Effort, I'm built for fun, really.